Welcome to another video where I'm talking about my van build. Thanks for joining so far. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about my insulation strategy, and you're going to see a little bit of it going in. You're probably not going to see me do every single step, and by probably I mean you're definitely not. Part of that is because, depending on weather, I am building my van out in the winter. So I'm having to struggle a little bit to find the right times to do every single step, because a few things are waiting on the weather to cooperate to be good enough for certain steps to take place. Like for instance, I can't finish up my insulation in the main portion of the walls or the lower portions until I cut out the window that I'm going to be putting in the back, and that's going to be talked about in another video. But my strategy, here it is, pretty much everywhere there's a reasonably accessible surface on the sides of the van, I've put the Siless sound deadening liner. It's a butyl rubber that's sticky on one side, it's got aluminum on the other. Basically this reduces sound, reduces vibrations by dampening everything that gets sent up through the panels. I put all the rubber before I put in anything else. I put in all the sound deadening before I put in anything else, and even driving around I could tell it was such a huge difference to the way it sounded in the back of the van. Can't tell as much on warmth. It does help insulate a little bit, so this is going to just bump up the overall R value, I think, but that's I think fractional gains. So I haven't been able to see really the warmth gains as much, but the sound definitely sounds like a completely different vehicle when I'm driving it. But the main part of my insulation is going to be ROCKWOOL. So it's mineral wool. ROCKWOOL is, I guess, the brand name of it. I bought their R15 COMFORTBATT, so it's fire resistant up to many thousands of degrees. It's also moisture and mildew resistant. It comes in 3.5-inch thick bats for the R15, and it is compressible down to about, well, maybe about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. It can compress pretty small. As you compress it, though, it's going to lose some of the R value. But one of the things I'm seeing lots of van builds do is use Thinsulate material, which is great. Again, similarly, it is moisture and mildew resistant. But what I like about this is that it fits the space better. So in the upper portions, and you can see some of it behind me, and these lower portions, essentially to the panels that I'm going to be building off of for my interior. In spots, it's about 2 3/4 inches, gets all the way up to 4.5. But basically this 3.5-inch thick material is going to fit the space perfectly, and take up more of that space and give me a much higher R value. I think the equivalent, or what people are doing with Thinsulate, gives them in the ballpark of 6, an R value of 6. Right now, you know, my baseline is R15, and then I'll be doing a similar strategy to what I've seen on other builds, is using like a radiant barrier between the wood panels and the metal, just to prevent the creation of any thermal bridges, because the metal's directly bridged out to the outside, so conduction is going to be pretty high. So essentially I'm using mineral wool for my main insulation everywhere that I can fit it. The walls, when I start to put up the panels, the upper and lower portions starting now, and then I'm going to be using a thermal radiant barrier, just a super thin layer on top of the rest of the metal when I'm putting on my panels. And I think overall I'm going to have a really well insulated setup. For the roof, I think I'll still be able to use this COMFORTBATT material, but it's going to be compressed a little bit further. So the roof's going to be a later problem. I guess we'll see as I get to it. So thanks for watching, and take a peek as this comes together.
Pandora's face is beautiful but dirty from yesterday. She went to sleep here on the ground, and over her shoulder is a purse, yeah, it's empty, but it's decadent and reeks of the nobility she's found. When I said, ma'am, if I might ask you, I've a notion that there's sands behind your stare. How'd you wind up here? And she said, child, don't fault the place I stand. Not before you know its grace, it can command all the very best of me.
while putting in the insulation at various points in the process, a couple of things I've had to do is remove these tie-down D-ring hooks. These are straight from Ford. There's a lot of them, which if I was transporting something else and not converting this into a camper, they'd probably be pretty useful. But for my purposes, they're just going to get in the way of the build. So I've been removing these as I've been going along, as well as wire clips. So there is a wiring harness on the passenger side of the vehicle, which is sort of out of the frame. And those clip onto each of these spots. It's a plastic clip, and then it holds the wire in place so it doesn't just dangle around. Reduces the strain on the wires as well, wires and the connectors. So on this side, there's not really many of them, but on the passenger side, I've been having to remove them. One of the things I'm also going to likely be doing is routing some of my my van's power cabling for everything that I've got electrical going on through the approximate similar location. So even though I'm putting in the insulation now, it's compressible. I should be able to run the wires without an issue through all these side channels. And then right now I'm not stuffing the full vertical openings just yet. I'm gonna wait to do that until I do run my electrical wires, because I think those will be really useful channels for running my lights and various other things around the van. So doing a lot of the insulation now, but not all of it. Once I finish the window here is when I will be finishing up the insulation below here. Again, not doing it just yet, just to prevent any metal shavings from getting trapped in the insulation. I'll be able to clean out that area a little bit easier. So yeah, thanks for watching, and keep watching the videos. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you've got some thoughts in the comments below.